What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. Kick back, grab a snack, and relax while I go over Battlefield's biggest update yet since launch. There's been some small and some pretty big issues going on with Battlefield that we'll get into, and hopefully we get a fix for some of these and some useful information. So let's jump right into it. To start off, it's that holiday time of year where everybody is starting to add holiday themed content to their games. And by that, I pretty much mean basically it's usually just like a white snow map. They're calling this like new, basically just a reskin of a map, the Ice Lock Empire State. So it's the Empire State map, basically just with a snow winter kind of reskin on it. And I unfortunately have a few gripes about it that we'll get into. And it's like, I know a guy on the internet that's got a few gripes about something. What else is new? And I promise I'm not trying to be an ass when I say this. I'm not just saying this to be edgy, but the Empire State map is by far, from what I've seen and just kind of the general consensus of the Battlefield community, is kind of just the worst map in the game. And like, I'll be honest, whenever I see this map come up in my queue, I'm kind of dreading playing it. Like, I still have, like, don't get me wrong, I still have some pretty fun infantry combat on this map. And, believe it or not, I don't totally hate it. However, I would be lying if I said this map is just kind of boring. Like, for one, there's not any vehicles, so what's really the point of running engineer unless you're just wanting to RPG somebody? Assault and support classes are pretty much fine, honestly, but what's the point of running recon when it's so like close range? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not like a great idea to make a map in Battlefield, a game that is about engineer, assault, support, recon, a map that basically eliminates two of those classes entirely. I mean, this is just like a gripe, but in my opinion, I would much rather seen like a larger scaled map, get a winter reskin. But hey, that's just my opinion. I think I still will play it regardless, since I'm having so much fun with this game. And with this new map, they're also introducing a new time-limited multiplayer and gauntlet mode, which they're saying is, quote, a themed event mode playable across domination, conquest, and gauntlet mission variations on the new Icelock Empire State map. Also featuring this new event is the event limited freeze mechanic. So I'm like, okay, we're getting new game modes and new event typed game events, but it's only playable in the new map, or the new reskin rather. So we're getting new content, but only on the worst map in the game, in my opinion, which to me, that's just kind of odd. Like, if you're going to do, I don't know. Sure. I have no idea what this new freeze mechanic is. Maybe you slide around on the ice, or you can please don't be able to slide cancel on people, but they don't really give us any information. So we'll have to kind of wait and see what that is about. We are getting a new melee weapon, the Ice Climbing Axe, which will be able to be unlocked through the Winter Offensive bonus patch. This new map will also be accessible in the Portal game mode, so maybe we'll see some cool player-created mini games with this that honestly might be more fun than just playing the normal kind of public servers. So that's pretty much it in terms of the biggest visual and like obvious changes with this latest update. Ones that you'll log into the game and notice. So let's move on to some of the more nuanced and gameplay and kind of quality of life patches. They do report improved hit registration, which I know is a widely kind of talked about issue in this game right now. The hit reg just doesn't feel all that crisp. Particularly, they mentioned in close quarter fights with like several players and people on your screen. I do know that I have ran into this before where, if you're up close with a bunch of people, it just feels like the aim assist, if you're using a controller like I do, just kind of goes crazy. And even on mouse and keyboard, you can be dead on and it just feels like they're just not registering right. So hopefully this will fix that. We have also enhanced close range soldier visibility, which I guess some people were noticing problems, but to be honest, I never really felt like I couldn't see someone who is like right in front of my face. So I don't know. Obviously, somebody's been affected by it. We'll just have to wait and see how that goes. They are also mentioning refined weapon handling. Specifically, they are mentioning addressing issues with first shot behavior, recoil interaction, and attachment alignment, so weapons feel more stable. I can also kind of see this and experience this as well. I'm not gonna lie, probably like one of the greatest things about Call of Duty, and I know I'm probably gonna get a ton of hate for even mentioning this, even mentioning Call of Duty here, but If there's anything Call of Duty has going for it, it's that the way that the guns and the characters feel while you're playing and shooting, like reloading, moving, aiming, ducking behind cover, things like that. It just feels a lot more fluid, if I'm being honest, and intuitive. Now, the server connection and the hit registration and the gameplay overall with Call of Duty is a completely different story. But I'll give credit where credit is due. The animations and the kind of the gun feel is pretty smooth in Call of Duty. Battlefield, on the other hand, at least this one I've found every now and then is just kind of just clunky. Like it just feels like when you're moving or jumping or things like that. Everything just kind of feels a little static. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things that's kind of hard to describe. But to me, the hit registration and the weapon handling does feel just a little bit clunky. Not anything bad. Like it's not crazy clunky, kind of like how PUBG feels when you play first person. But I do think there's a little bit of room for improvement. So this could be good. They are mentioning they have improved reliability across core gadgets. So I'm guessing that this is just like straight up some people can't use their classed gadgets. So that's definitely an improvement. They're mentioning also strengthened vehicle clarity and interaction. So this seems kind of like a UI or a quality of life improvement for all the vehicles that are mentioned. They're mentioning the camera behavior has been improved. So kind of like the heads up or HUD. This isn't something really I've ran into, but obviously people have. So good note there. And we're going to get into something kind of juicy here. Another kind of big talking point about Battlefield 6 is the updates to the breakthrough and the rush layouts. This one's going to be interesting because we've seen a lot of talk about balancing issues with breakthrough because it seems like one of the more popular modes right there next to Conquest. I've seen a lot of talk about people saying that the attackers feel often that they're like disadvantageous and that they're the weaker side compared to defense, which I don't know how I feel. To me, being an attacker, obviously you are going to be at a disadvantage. Like that's kind of the whole point of attack and defend. Like it's not really supposed to be that fair. Like as an attacker, you're supposed to be able to outsmart your enemy, out strategize them, and break through literally the game mode name. Like it's not walk through, it's not roll through. But in general, why I'm talking about this is because what they're doing is basically adding more vehicles and tanks and different kind of armor to a lot of the maps for breakthrough on the attacker side. Not only are they adding vehicles to the attacker side, but they're also removing vehicles from the defender side, which I'm going to be honest, there's been a lot of breakthrough maps that I've played that the defenders already don't have a vehicle on. And so now it's like the ones that do, they're kind of taking that away from you. So in my mind, what this is going to cause is the engineer class is going to be very, very important on defense. Like if you're playing breakthrough or you're playing rush and you're playing defense, you're going to have to prioritize your engineers. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out, but I'm kind of afraid that this might turn into a slippery slope where the defense side is now the side that is disadvantageous, which is not at all how it's supposed to be. Again, maybe this is a change for the better. I just don't necessarily agree with it. That's just my opinion, but maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe this is a good change. They're also mentioning that there is a broad audio pass improvement and combat readability. Go furthermore into this, they're stating that this is going to result in clearer footsteps and movement cues, more reliable armor breaking sound, and tuning across several high priority gameplay sounds. And this is kind of another thing that honestly, here again, I don't think the sound was really all that bad. And I don't mean to be like constantly contrary to all these patch notes. Like, honestly, it's really a good thing that I'm just like, I've never experienced any of this. That means things are working properly for me. But obviously, some people are having some audio issues where they couldn't hear people clearly. I feel like I can hear people miles away. If anything, I think that the footsteps could be turned down a little bit. To me, it is kind of strange how like all like tank shells are going off, explosions are going off, and I can still hear somebody just like storming up the stairs in a building. But you know, maybe this is addressing some people that were just having some real issues, like could not hear anybody. So That's a pretty good improvement. So all in all, this is a pretty coherent, cohesive update. There's a ton of smaller but still meaningful patch notes that we see going forward here. I won't go through all of them just because there's so many, but there are some notable ones that I see. And, although I'm not super impressed with the winter update for the Brooklyn map, I am very impressed with how many patches there are here. Like, I'll quickly scroll through them all real quick if you want to pause and take a look. But just to mention a few: fixed a clipping issue when dragging a soldier on an inclined service when being prone. I know I definitely have seen this before. Fixed an issue allowing players to use vaulting to avoid being road killed by an enemy vehicle. So this is kind of like new. I've never heard of this. It is cool. Now you can kind of use this as a strategy, I guess, that, like, if you're playing red sec and a vehicle's coming at you, you can just kind of vault on something to avoid taking damage now, I guess. Fixed an issue causing hit registration to fail when firing while making extremely rapid aim adjustments. Fixed an issue causing soldier legs to rotate incorrectly with the body when falling prone. I've definitely seen this. I've had some spaghetti legs animations before for sure. Fixed an issue where heavy machine gun fire from some vehicles would not consistently register damage. Fixed a bug where players would become stuck in weapon inspect animation when entering a vehicle. The assault class's assault ladder has also been changed to where it has a ramp angle from 45 degrees to 52 degrees now, and players can also run up the ladder without shifting into a climbing stance. So that's a pretty big change for the ladder, honestly. Fixed an issue where the incorrect shell type was used during firing and reload animations. And talking more about like map-based updates, we see that they have adjusted conquest and escalation capture areas on the Manhattan Bridge. Again, these are just some mention of the patch notes. I feel like I went on for too long on them, but there are several others you can go back and pause and review if you really want to. But I'm going to be honest, it is very nice to see a ton of patches this early into the game. So I got to give credit where credit is due. This is good work by Battlefield Studios. However, I do think overall this update is sort of a little disappointing in terms of only the worst map in the game, in my opinion, having the winter theme on top of whatever the new event themed game modes are. They're only going to be playable on that map. However, the saving grace for me for sure is that there are a ton of major patch updates. And I'm going to be honest, really, I'd rather have a ton and several quality of life improvements or patches instead of a ton of just like cosmetics or skins or flashy visual updates. Like, the quality of life in the gameplay always takes priority. And so it seems like that's really what they've focused on here. Now, I don't really agree with some of the breakthrough changes yet and the rush game mode changes. We'll have to see how that kind of plays out. Hopefully defense is not just going to get steamrolled every time now. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below if the update is exciting to you, or if there are things missing that you thought were ignored that need to be addressed that are more important. If you want to see more news and coverage of Battlefield going into the future, let me know by giving me a like and subscribe. It really does encourage me to keep pushing and making more content. So hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you in the next one.